You are now watching Unks in the Building. UNCS Unks in the Building. Resident Unk Byron here along with the amazing Auntie Stacy.
Hello.
Today we will in fact be talking about Reddit stories once again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Let's make it happen.
All right. This is from the subreddit, Am I the A-hole?
We love those.
Okay. Am I the a-hole for doing weird or awkward poses when my mother-in-law accidentally, in quotation marks, walks in on me in the bathroom? Need to hear it again?
No.
Okay. So my mother-in-law, I'm a gal by the way, came to stay with us for a few weeks till her home is renovated for Christmas. The problem is that she's been randomly walking in on me while I'm in the bathroom. Thankfully, not once has she seen me naked because I started picking up on her behavior after the second time in a week. She'd barge in, then turns and says, "Oh, sorry," then close the door. I tried talking to my husband about it, but he kept ignoring me, then flat out said, "So what if she accidentally sees you naked? She's family." He seriously said that. We have a lock and I could have used it, but I have past trauma from the idea of being locked in a room after my brother locked me in the bathroom when I was 5. So I came up with this idea.
Never mind, go ahead.
Trauma.
Yeah, I got you. Trauma don't always,
right, makes sense.
Makes sense. Go ahead.
So I came up with this idea. I'd go inside the bathroom pretending to use it and I'd wait for her to come. Because honestly, it was deliberate at this point. When she accidentally barges in, she'd see me in a weird or awkward position. For example, doing a ballet stand, standing on the toilet, or standing facing the wall with my hands up, fully clothed, of course. I could see how awkward and weird this would be for her, because she'd stand there for a few seconds trying to figure out what I was doing. It was hilarious at first seeing her initial confusion, but she told my husband about it, claiming she caught me practicing rituals in the bathroom. I cleared things up and revealed the reason why. My husband was livid. He called me childish and said that I made his mom feel terrified and weirded out by my behavior. He said I should have acted maturely and locked the damn door instead of playing mind games. Edit. What? I just came back on here and literally saw thousands of people. Now I feel embarrassed. Thank God I'm glad I went anonymous. But seriously, I'm looking at my screen. I'm like, I'm famous? Seriously though, my husband and his mom are extremely upset with me. He still thinks it was ridiculous and is demanding an apology before she goes back to her home. I'm not sure if I will apologize yet. Because yes, while it was a me problem that I couldn't use the lock, it still feels wrong that she did and wrong what she did. And maybe I'm wrong too. But at least I got... So did you, apparently. A bit of a chuckle out of it. And she goes on more, but she's just kind of rambling. So, what are your thoughts?
This is why I'm not a huge fan. I know some people are germaphobes and stuff like that. But I'm not a huge fan of shutting the bathroom door all the way when nobody's in there. If it's not actively being used, I don't always look down at the bottom to see if there's a light underneath there to know if somebody's in the bathroom before walking in. I'm not a huge fan of that, because you walk in on people who use the bathroom and don't lock the bathroom door, but if it's open, I know nobody's in there. You don't have to have it wide open, but leave it where it's visibly not shut, and then you won't have that problem. But the trauma, my pet peeves aside, the trauma of her childhood, if it's been disclosed to the mom and she still does that, you're too old to not knock on the door. If you know this has happened multiple times, you know she doesn't lock the door. First of all, okay, if you all keep the house shut, let's say, for example, I'm visiting. I don't know how I feel about it, but this is in my house. I'm going to do what I want to do in my house. However, if I'm at somebody else's house, I'm going to knock, because you don't know. And if you don't know, you need to knock every single time. You don't just walk in if the door is shut. You just bust in there. "Oh, I'm sorry." No. Doing the poses and stuff like that is silly. However, I will say this. If everybody's an adult in the room and she's told you I had a problem, that's on that mom. Because the mom should have started knocking before she walks in. And when she felt like it was intentional enough to start doing this for no reason, then it's like, okay, well now I really know that you're just doing it, because I'm not even in here doing anything. You just busting in over and over again. I would have to watch her behavior when I'm not actually in the bathroom, because apparently they keep their door shut. So since they keep their door shut, I'm shutting the door and seeing if she just barges in every single time. Or
No.
Is something wrong with the mom?
Yeah, it has to be.
It could be something wrong with the mom.
Something is going on, because like you said, because if you weren't going to say it, I was going to say it. I'm like, has she ever heard of...
Yeah.
That's just normal behavior.
Yeah.
And the first time you walk in on someone, when you don't think about it, as you see the person in there and that initial, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, oh, I'm sorry,
it makes you never do it again.
You start knocking, for sure.
Exactly. It makes you never do it again.
It's obvious she's doing it for a reason. My issue is, why is hubby not dealing with this? Who cares if she sees you naked?
That's
We're
bugging.
family.
Nope. No way. No way.
Let me go over there and do it to your dad. He's family.
Who cares?
Who cares?
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's not okay.
Nope.
And he's just been like, whatever. And then for her to get in trouble with the husband and for them to be mad at her, like she's so immature, you're going to get some weird stuff. I love how she handled it. You don't want to, he's not on her side. Maybe she could have talked to her and said, listen, I don't know what's happening, but you keep walking at me. Could you knock?
Right.
That could have been a
That's the only thing that I'm missing here.
But if she didn't do that and she wanted to do she walked in and now the mom thinks she's doing rituals in the bathroom, that's what you get, lady.
Yeah. I think that ultimately there needed to have been a conversation. If she's already talked to that adult woman and told her, look, please stop walking in, can you knock first, and she continues to do it, bro, it's her house. She can do what she want to do.
I'm just imagining.
Stand on top of the toilet.
I'm just imagining walking at someone.
Do a handstand on the toilet seat.
With their back turned towards the wall with their hand up. It would freak me out.
Yeah, to freak you out. But at the same time, it's just like, no, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So now I would say not the a-hole, with the asterisk of as long as you talked to her first and say, look, don't do that. Okay, let's just say she didn't
talk to her. She's an a-hole then?
That would be a childish way to handle it. That's a very childish way to handle it.
But it's clear that she doesn't have either side of the mother or what is the mother trying to do? What does she want to see?
I don't know. Maybe what she saw. She wanted to see what she saw. I think, she's doing some kind of weird ritual. So let me keep busting in to see. I don't know what she saw. Weird. I don't know. It is very much so, unless she's a pervert.
So the vote is not the a-hole. Top comment, not the a-hole, you went the funny way, and that's dope. Your husband, however, is an a-hole.
Right.
He expects you to be mature about it, but he doesn't expect his mother to knock on the effing door before walking in.
Right.
And someone replied, the hate victim shamers learn how to knock.
Yeah, no, I think that's out of pocket. All she had to do was knock. Whole situation. It'd be like watching a horror movie and they do some dumb stuff and it's like, this movie could have been over in 15 minutes if they would have just called the cops.
If they would have just done one thing.
I'm not gonna call.
I'm not going into that scary looking home and end.
And so many times you see those why they killed a black person at the beginning, because as soon as they pull up, nope, and they pack up and they leave, and it's like I think those floating around Instagram. Those people be doing used to do skits on Instagram. People don't do that as much anymore.
I know. Yeah.
I kind of missed that part of Instagram. Okay, next story.
Anyways, next one. This is from Relationship Advice.
We love those.
All right.
Do we love those more than Am I the A-hole?
No, I like the A-hole.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, but go ahead.
Is it abusive if my boyfriend, 24 male, poured my 24 female milk down the drain?
Abusive because he poured our milk out.
Down the drain.
Ooh, okay,
I don't know what to feel. Please help.
Okay.
Okay, so my boyfriend and I have been together for almost 2 years.
Long time.
And we recently moved in together.
Uh-oh.
So I was sitting in the kitchen drinking some milk. My boyfriend often makes jokes about me drinking milk and calls it disgusting and weird, that I enjoy the taste of it alone. I've always laughed about it because I know many people who make these kinds of milk jokes.
Right.
I like drinking milk anyway. So I was sitting in the kitchen drinking some milk when my boyfriend calls out from the living room, "Are you drinking milk?" I said yes, and he came storming into the kitchen. It all happened so fast I didn't know what was happening. He took the milk carton and emptied all of the milk into the kitchen sink. I called out, "What are you doing?" And he said something along the lines of, "This will teach you a lesson not to do it anymore." I was so surprised and scared. My boyfriend has never done anything like this before. He's very loving and gentle man usually. I stood up and went to the bedroom to process what happening. After a short while, he came in apologizing, saying he will buy me new milk now. He's left the apartment to buy me new milk. I'm so confused and I don't know what to make of this.
I'm gonna have to say this, ma'am. I don't know how to feel either, because that was ridiculous. He just came in there and I get the joke, because like milk is like, that's a drink that kids ask for when they like 6, and I just want to drink some milk, peanut butter and jelly milk. Well, you might have some milk and some
milk and
Oreo cookies or something like that, but to just drink it like it's a glass of water, like, that's weird. But that's your prerogative, like, prerogative.
I don't think it's weird. I know.
Right.
I don't think it's weird.
No, weird is a strong word. It's abnormal. There's not a lot of people who just drink milk like that.
I feel like people drink milk and spaghetti and weird stuff all the time.
Okay, your friends do that.
No, they don't. They're none of my friends.
Okay, well then what are you talking like it's normal then?
Of course I've heard. Listen.
People do it, but I'm saying
there are lots of milk drinkers.
The average person that you see or that's within our circle does not just, there
is a kid that used to come in every day at my old job with a carton of milk and drink.
And what was he doing?
He was drinking it.
He was trying to put on weight and he's exercising.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. It was right. So if you want to put on weight, you do things that's calorie dense or whatever like that. It's people even in other countries, talk about how they, I don't know a better way to say this, but they fatten up the women, drinking a bunch of cow's milk before they get married in some cultures and stuff. It happens, but it's not something that if somebody walks in your house, "Hey, you want something to drink? Yeah, y'all got any milk?"
I don't know, but my thing is,
that's kind of weird, babe.
Okay. But my thing is, if somebody asked that, I'd be like, "Oh, okay, that's them." To me,
right? That's where it stops.
What else do you have to say about what he did?
No, I'm saying that. Let me, before we move forward. It's weird for him to react that way, because at the end of the day, like, let's switch out the drink. And let's make it tea, right? Everybody's tea everybody don't drink tea, everybody don't drink coffee, whatever. Let's just make it something that's considered normal. Let's say it's coffee. Middle of the day, a lot of people drink coffee. Hey, I want coffee and a piece of cake. Cool. You walk in, hey, you want some coffee? Are you drinking coffee again? Dump it out. Now it seems crazy. Why did you just walk in here, dump this person's drink out?
He didn't even know what she was doing. He just called out to her.
Bruh, that seems weird. So either he is a scary individual who has a lot of stuff bottled up inside of him.
That's what it is.
Waiting to pop, or somebody's been talking to him, making him grossed out by something he probably shouldn't be. But that's something that, like you said, she laughed. That's something that would be understandable for it to be a joke. Like, "Oh, you drinking milk? That's gross. Oh, you sick. Get out of here." And then you leave us at the end of the conversation. For him to do it, then feel bad about it, and then go and buy her some more. Well, I can say this: for him to go buy you some more after he did it, that there's a part of him that was convicted by his actions, and maybe he cares about the relationship. But something is scary about that.
Yeah, this feels.
Something scary about that.
This is based on nothing, and just how I feel about it, but. Tell
me how you really feel about water, Stace.
This feels like very controlling.
Something crazy about that.
And when, this happens a lot. People move in and things all of a sudden flip. I got you now. Or they get married and the guy changes. A lot of times it's the guy. Not saying the girl doesn't. A lot of times in these...
Okay.
Well, a lot of times in these control situations...
I've heard the opposite
man changes
sometimes.
And then it becomes abusive.
She
used the right term. Is it abusive? It's not that specific incident is not abusive, but it looks like an indicator of future abuse, if that makes sense. Like controlling, like
red flag.
Red flag McGee. That's what it is.
I'm not a huge fan. I've said this before. I'm not a huge fan of living the marriage before the marriage.
Right.
Everybody don't want to get married, so it is what it is for them. But when you are with somebody for 2 years,
you think you know them.
And then you move in together, and then the other side starts coming out. I guess this is evidence of why people say they want to move in and live together first to see kind of how this individual is.
I guarantee you there's
signs.
There was stuff that didn't seem so big.
Signs.
But now that they're living together, it's harder to hide.
Yeah. The milk being a deal breaker?
That's very strange, but you never know what's going to be the thing that they're going to try to control.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that.
Somebody said in the comments, his words, teaching you a lesson is what's scary. He's not your parent. I would be very alarmed.
That'll teach you a lesson. Mm-hmm. But what was he trying to say?
Teach you a lesson to drink milk, even though I don't like it. That's what that was. I'm trying to control you.
But has he historically said he doesn't like it?
Yeah, he does. He makes jokes and doesn't like it.
I know.
And she knows other people don't like it, but I'll drink it anyway, even though y'all think it's weird.
I don't know. That it's something sicko mode is there. That's some American, what do you call it? American Psycho. That's some sicko mode stuff. That I don't know what that is. I don't like it. For him to just flip out like that, that's scary.
Mm-hmm. This person says that post was crazy. It was scary reading. It reminded me of the movie Sleeping with the Enemy. Her husband wanted to control every aspect of her. I hope she's okay now. Living her best life, but honestly, if I were her, I'd always be looking over my shoulder. He's unhinged.
I gotta know if there were other things, because
I don't really see an update.
I gotta know if there were other things prior to this to kind of be like, have somebody have a moment. There's this thing that men do, and I'll try to be quick. There's this thing that men do sometimes. And not every man. Let me put that asterisk on there before people lose their minds. It's not every man, but a lot of men hold stuff in. They hold stuff in, you let stuff slide, and then you end up blowing up over some dumb stuff. Like something very small and stupid. And it's like, why am I so angry about this, whatever it is that's out of place? This, I don't know. I can't even think of nothing I done got mad about. Mm-hmm. I can't think of anything. But you get the point what I'm trying to make. Like, sometimes it'll be, where the thing that happens that sets you off, that straw that breaks the camel's back, is it doesn't merit the reaction. Mm-hmm. So my thought process is, was there something else prior to this that either he's lost his mind about and this ain't your first sign that you need to get out of there? Or have you been doing wild stuff and he's been letting stuff slide, and then this was something where he felt like, I can have this moment and the wake of my actions, if I can use that, is going to be very small. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, it's not going to be a whole lot of repercussions to my action. If I pour this milk, I can lose it in this moment, and there's not much as far as repercussions anymore. So I can just go buy another milk carton and just fix it really quickly. In my mind, act like it didn't happen, because there's very little that's going to come out of it negatively in his mind. This is my quick way to fix it. But there's other stuff that was going on that if I said something, my relationship would have been over. Okay. I don't know if he's doing that. Again, that's reading a whole lot into the situation. But
so here's what somebody said, okay?
It's a lot. That was crazy.
Yeah, this is a huge red flag. He kept up the mask for 2 years, but now that you live together, he slips and then admits to Oh wait, she
original
replied.
Poster. Okay.
OP replied to something somebody said. He said he came back with the exact same milk he poured away and apologized, saying he didn't know what overcame him, that he might have mental and health anger problems and wants to work on them, as he says his behavior was unacceptable. As something like this has never happened before, I feel like I can forgive it, but I'm very surprised by it. Negative 56 down votes. So someone says, yeah, this is a huge red flag. He's kept up the mask for 2 years, but now that you live together, he slips and then admits to anger problems. Interesting, he never thought to be honest with you about his anger problems before you agreed to live together.
Lord.
Would have been a nice heads up, huh? This is typical for abusers. They hide it until they feel their partner is stuck with them and can't leave, so they start to show the abusive side. Like you moving in and your name on the lease. You can't just leave without a financial penalty for breaking the lease. If your situation escalated, the abuse would steadily get worse. Or if you got laid off, you'd be financially dependent on him for a time. He would be more abusive. If you got married, he'd be more abusive because he'd feel like you would just stay to avoid divorce. If you had a child, that's when it escalates to the worst abuse. As soon as kids are involved, abusive men feel like the women will never leave. They are trapped.
Way down the rabbit hole.
90 upvotes.
It could all be true.
She's talking about how abuse progresses. Yeah.
It could all be true. Yeah. It is alarming, to say the least. I'm going to say this as advice. As somebody who, like I said, I'm not an advocate for staying in abusive situations. I'm not an advocate for treating somebody who, has issues like they don't. Watch how somebody treats people who can do nothing for them.
Right.
When you're dating somebody, you have to do research. This is before you move in, before you get married. When you're dating them, you need to do research. How is this individual doing? And people gonna put up faces. Don't try to blame. Okay, my problem with that last post is people will use that type of behavior that does happen as an excuse to never commit fully to anybody.
Right, because anything could happen.
Anybody
3
can
years
flip
in,
out
5 years in, 6 years
at
in.
any point in time.
Yeah.
And then people change over time. So that's definitely something I'm like, bruh, if you think like that, you'll never get married.
Right.
You're never going to get married because it's like, oh, this person might change on me.
Right.
They might become this. They might say, yes, they might, but they might not.
Right.
And the thing is, what you need to do is your research before you even get into the, yes, I'll be your significant other, I'll be your boyfriend, I'll be your girlfriend. Before you even say yes to that, how does this person act when you go to a restaurant? Do they tip? Do they not tip? Are they a picky eater? Are they demanding when they feel like somebody is serving them? How do they treat this waitress or waiter? You know what I'm saying? Homeless people, are they giving? Do they step over them? Like what's happening, that you can see inside of their character for somebody that is not going to benefit them at all. And the thing is to get them in an environment, date people if you can. or that somebody else can vouch for a little bit, but that's not always possible. But if you can get them in an environment where you can see them move without you necessarily being with them. So if you're young enough to be in college and you see them move around to where it's not me and you holding hands and we're walking down the street and you give to a homeless person, you could be putting on a show.
Right.
But if I see you get a homeless person and you don't know that I'm in the next classroom over, and I see you do like, oh shoot, that person gay, you know what I'm saying? So the point I'm trying to make is you need to
observe and not apply things that are not there. A lot of times we apply a thing when we like someone, we apply characteristics to that person that's
they
not
don't have there. And we're also looking at their potential.
Yes, we fill
who
in
they
the blanks,
could be.
And we just don't see it as it is. And we're not curious. We're more excited. And that excitement sometimes
is blinding.
Yes.
It's very blinding.
And then the person is there complimenting you. And you love that. You know, you're like, oh my God.
Especially if it's something you don't get a lot.
And yeah, and you feel seen.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh my gosh, yes. So it's a beautiful beginning if that's the case. But, you know, just while that's happening, pray and ask God, like, open my eyes so that I can, if this person you want me to be with, please open my eyes and let me see who this person really is, if they're really meant for me and for further of, you know, further in my life being with this person.
The word for
am
the
I
day.
good for them?
The word for the day is discernment.
Yep.
Too often we get into these situations and it basically is a pop the balloon show. You walk in,
yeah.
Oh, this person's attractive. Can I take you out sometime? Yes. You get together. There are many people's situation. Praise God if they can make it 3 months without having sex with them, and then we're figuring it out from here. You're already tied in. Like, yep. You really need to figure out a way to, dare I say, like yourself, and date people who are comfortable with who you are.
Being yourself is really important.
I'm not a huge fan of people who crack jokes too many times, because I feel like you can crack jokes. Let me not say too many times, but don't. I'm the joke cracker. It's 24/7. But I'm talking about, I don't crack jokes about you.
No, you don't.
So it's silly stuff. But if I know, for example, it's something that
like I'm sensitive about, or I care about,
then I'm not gonna.
Or is a trigger point. Yeah.
Once the laughter over the milk becomes awkward, I'm gonna stop touching it.
Right.
You know, like what are we doing here? I'm not gonna keep poking fun at your love of milk.
Right, or whatever.
So, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I'm just saying milk in this moment, but that's the thing. It's like when you start getting people to do stuff and say stuff, like I keep calling this out because it happened. But the fellow we talked about on one of these shows that had the you smell. Kept telling the girl she smelled.
Yes.
It's like, this isn't funny.
Right.
You know what I'm? It's not funny.
It wasn't
anymore.
funny because she was literally going insane.
Yeah, she was, and it's like, what are we doing here? It wasn't
a joke. He was trying to break her down.
But they were trying to laugh it off at first, and it's like,
she wasn't. From the beginning, she was like, "Okay, I stink. Let me
shower more. 2 showers, carrying deodorant around.
Let me put lotions on. Let me." Put
you right, smell like a potpourri bag, and this man still
deodorant, and he was still like, gosh, you stink.
Yeah, so bad. Oh my gosh, like, no, that's stupid. So just the mean spirited jokes, just the talking crazy. Like at a certain point in time, it's like, what's really going on? I firmly believe when people start cracking those type of jokes, it's 70% true. Most of the time, there's a little bit of truth hidden in there.
Mean spirited jokes aren't funny.
No, but it's a lot of people who they live in relationships like that.
I know, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, they live in relationships like that.
That's not funny. Because at a certain point, you're being chipped away at.
Right.
And you're supposed to be building.
Yeah. Edification.
Yeah.
That's the second word for today. Discernment, first word, second word, edification. Look them up if you don't know what that means. But we definitely, I shouldn't say that. You know, my listeners are smart. All of them are brilliant.
I would have to look up to know. I know what they mean, but I would have to look it up to know the exact definition.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't think that.
Yeah. But
there's anything wrong with looking up what word. I think it's important to know exactly what it means. Like,
come on.
You know, our pastor says when he says, and I pray that in the mighty, look that word up.
Mm-hmm.
Matchless, look that word up. So he asks you to look it up. Simple words. Majestic. But those are words that we all know, and he's like, look it up, and try and really understand what I'm trying to say here.
Of what's being said. The point I'm trying to make here is, you know, that type of milk is gross. Even if it's said as a joke the first time and we laugh it off and move forward, like how long? The running joke isn't funny forever. Unfortunately,
well,
it's not a running joke anymore. If I'm not in on it, like it's not cool.
Right. Well, what lets me know a couple things about this girl. People make fun of the thing that she likes, and she's doing it anyway because she's, at this point in time, she is settled in who she is.
Right.
Just because a lot of people will be like, who are not confident and settled in their own selves, will be like, ooh, let me not do this because nobody, you know. But she's like, he hates it. I'll have other people in my life and they crack jokes, but I drink it anyway because that's something she likes.
Right.
That was a move to make her second guess herself. A very small aspect of herself, but it was a move for that. And then he realized, whoa, this was too fast, too soon. And now he's backtracking. That's my story.
Yeah.
I'm sticking to it.
Something scary there, for sure. That post went down a rabbit hole, you know, and it could happen. But
it's just it's strange when you said that'll teach you a lesson. Didn't come from a good place.
That's some old supervillain stuff. Yeah. Like that's yeah, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Next one. Moving on.
Yeah, one more.
Moving on. Am I the a-hole for not believing my boyfriend that quote unquote suddenly became gay due to the altitude difference? Quote unquote.
Have I heard this before?
When he was on a work trip in Utah. Did that happen? Did I read that
think
before?
I heard this before.
All right.
I don't know if we did it here, but I feel like I heard this before.
Then I'm going to have to do a different story then, sir. All right.
And she said, was she the a-hole?
I don't remember what it was.
Yeah. The altitude, and he came back down, and now he's not gay no more. That he left from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
All right.
I'm gonna need him to have a nice day. You see, man, as you playing with her emotions, better believe that story. This is the altitude, and this is the water we drink. Right. Yeah, no, you made a choice, sir.
Okay, relationship advice is the subreddit on this one.
Okay.
My 23 female boyfriend, 25 male, thinks my dad's 59 male gifts are creepy. Is that a red flag? Every year for Valentine's Day, my dad, 59 male, sends me flowers and a box of chocolate. Okay. He has done this every year since I've been old enough to remember. Okay. He'd always give them to me when I was little, when I went to college and beyond, and he has them delivered to me. Mm-hmm. It's just a tradition for us. I think it's sweet. I grew up in a really tight-knit, close family.
Nothing wrong with that.
I started dating my boyfriend, Mark, 25 male, a little over a year ago. Last Valentine's Day, I got the usual gift from my dad. Mark saw this and said, "Oh, your dad sent you those? Oh, okay." And that was it.
Oh, this is a competition now.
Fast forward to this year. Last night, Mark and I were discussing our Valentine's Day plans for this year, like what restaurant we should go to. And he made a passing comment about hoping I don't get any creepy gifts in the mail this year. I was confused and asked him what he meant, and he said, "You know how you got that stuff from your dad last year? It's creepy for a dad to be sending his adult daughter Valentine's Day gifts." No. I was taken aback because it's not like my dad sent me lingerie or something.
Right.
It was just flowers and some chocolate.
Right.
I tried explaining to Mark that this is a tradition I've always shared with my dad.
Right.
He stands firm that it's creepy and weird.
Have a nice
and
day.
he has asked his friends, and they thought it was weird too.
They stupid too.
I tried to let it go, but it's been bothering me.
Yeah.
Number one, I have never heard these kinds of negative comments from Mark before, and I'm not sure whether it's a red flag. I've never been in a serious relationship before, and I'm still figuring it all out. 2, when my dad's delivery comes this month, I don't want Mark to feel uncomfortable. 3, is it actually creepy for my dad to be sending this stuff? I've never found it so, but I would like to hear other perspectives. Thanks.
So, couple things. One, don't ask the internet questions like this, because the internet is crazy. You know, so make up your own mind on it. 2, I'm curious whether or not her boyfriend has his father in his life. Because, well, let me not just say that, because he could have his father, and the father just could be one of them guys that's just kind of like, hey, I've been a son, I got sons, I don't understand that I need to take my daughter out and treat my daughter right so she doesn't accept foolishness from the man that comes into her life.
Correct.
Fathers, you need to start opening the door for your daughter, so that, true story in my life, I held the door for a young lady, and this was not her experience. She didn't have a father in her life, and when I did it, she looked at me and said, "What are you doing? Go in."
Sorry. I'm so sorry to laugh. I am so sorry.
It's a true story. What you doing? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh man, that's sad, but also like, wow, girl. Sorry to laugh.
It's real. It happened, and I was like, I see what's happening here.
I gotta go.
Yeah. But this is where people are, and that's why I asked that question, is because it's bad that when the father does not show the young lady, and let me put this disclaimer on here, because again, people lose their minds over small stuff. I just seen the comments and other people's stories, and I'd be like, how did you come to this conclusion? So that's why I say this stuff sometimes. I want to clarify what I'm saying. When there is no man around in a healthy, positive aspect to help train up, then they're not going to know how to react in certain environments. So if a man isn't correctly treating a woman in front of their son, for the son to say, hey, look, this is how you treat a woman, that son isn't going to understand a man doing that for his daughter when he dates.
But jumping to creepy is a very big jump. Oh,
because this is what I said a moment ago under my breath, is this is a competition now.
When I first started reading it, yeah.
So this is a competition. This isn't about it actually being creepy. It's kind of like, dang, this dude is on point. He's getting this girl's flowers every single year, and she's used to it. I can't half step at all.
Right.
So now, how long has she been with him? Did it say?
A little over a year ago.
A little over a year. So they might have hit.
So they had one Valentine's Day. Then they're coming to
they're coming up to a second one.
It must have been the January.
So I'm like, okay. It's early in the first one. I can kind of BS my way through this. So we can just go out, grab. I don't really know you like that. We're going. It's our first Valentine's or whatever, and you just kind of, here you go, and then you see, oh, here goes some flowers from Dad, and those flowers are more expensive than what I bought. Oh. You see what I'm saying? Right. So now it's like,
step my game
so
up.
let me shoot down and downplay what Dad is doing.
I've known guys who specifically go to fatherless girls because their standards are awful.
Yeah.
And those guys are awful. I'm not saying those are my friends or anything, but I know people like that who are like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for the fatherless chick. If I'm
People
just
with
trying to have a
daddy
good time,
issues.
I don't have to answer to anything, you know. And no,
Not gonna be held to no standards.
and that was when I was young. No disrespect to people who didn't grow up with their fathers, but it's
not about not growing up
no. But I'm
with
saying
a father. 'Cause
certain young women who don't grow up with that, often their mom stays single or doesn't stay with somebody consistently.
Yeah.
You know, that's not every case, obviously.
Right.
But a lot of times that happens, and they're looking for that gap that is created in their life, that void is created. They're looking into it to their partner, and then they don't really know what it is. There's no standard established,
and in
so
this case,
they'll take the bare minimum, not thinking that's great. When honestly, that's just the bare minimum. Somebody showing up isn't the whole thing. That's a requirement. So, you know, being floored by a requirement when you should be like, okay, well, that's the baseline. You know, those are the things that will differentiate somebody who's a winning partner for you, whereas of somebody who's just going through the motions type thing.
So the point I was going to make is it's not about necessarily being fatherless. It's about the behavior being exemplified in front of them. Some people have their father
I had
in
my
their
father,
home.
and some of the stuff he didn't do. He
That's
was
what I'm
there
saying,
all the time,
like,
and a lot of the stuff he didn't do.
If the person's in the home but they're not playing this particular role, like I said, he might have a family full of men. It'd be him, two sons. They kind of talk crazy to the mom. It's like, yeah, well, now I want to get married. I'm gonna be a good guy. It's for, you know, guy standard of living versus, hey, we got women in the house, we got to operate a little bit different. It's different,
Right.
you know. You see those memes and it's like, the guy got a couch, a TV, and a bed on the floor. Like, yo, this is the best. I got enough space to sit here and play my video game. I got my PlayStation. I got me a 50-inch. I done hooked up on the wall. And 50's too small now. What they up to? 85? Something ridiculous now. Anyway, I got that hooked up and I'm straight. Versus, you know, you try to bring a woman to that and they like, what is happening here? But now these days, women on blow up mattresses and sleeping on the floor and wild stuff, and then trying to hold a man to the highest standard. It's crazy out here. But anyway,
With some comments and then an update.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone said I do the same for my adult daughters. Someone says my dad does this too. And then the person says a red flag is the boyfriend. Assigning creepy intentions to a sweet gift from the dad is ridiculous. This sounds like the kind of boyfriend who demands that their partner not ever hug a male relative or some other BS. All right, so let's read
That's a rabbit hole, but okay.
The update. Hi all, it's been a long 2 months and I'm sorry for not updating sooner, but I just needed a break. I really appreciate all the insight I got on my original post. So, here's what the story is. We broke up.
Oh.
I tried having a legitimate conversation with Mark, who's my ex-BF, about why he found the gifts creepy. He is close with his family. They show a regular amount of affection for a close American family, so it wasn't that. He could not articulate to me why he found it creepy. He just kept saying it made him uneasy. No further explanation. There is only so much I can do regarding that, so I gave up on trying to find the root issue. He originally said he talked to his friends about it and that they all found it weird. Yeah, he never did that. He admitted he made it up.
Right.
He also confessed he cheated on me with 2 different girls.
Okay. Sir, have a nice day. Please. Come on.
Which took me by complete surprise. I got tested. All is fine in that regard.
Praise God.
So yeah, I ended it. He begged me to stay.
No.
That's the part was like, guy, why would I stay with you? And I said,
just those 2 times.
He said, wait. So yeah, I ended it. He begged me to stay and said I was the one.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I love how you're the one, but let me check the other 2. I'm the 3 actually.
I lie to those other women.
Right.
What do you say? I tell the women the truth, but I lie to you because I care about your feelings.
I refused. I said something along the lines of, you cheated on me, you lied to me, and we have different core of family values. When he realized I wasn't coming back, he told everyone I cheated on him.
Oh my God.
Friends were furious on my behalf and wanted to give him a piece of their minds, but I told him I just don't want to deal with him ever again. I am so done. I just don't care anymore. He is blocked. So basically, I still have no idea what his problem with the gift was, but good riddance. And for everyone who said I had a good dad, trust me, I know, and I'm so lucky. I'm going to visit him next month and can't wait. Thank you all.
See, this was about driving a wedge between her and her father. If he would have been successful, he could have gotten away with a lot of ridiculous stuff. Because what would have happened ultimately is he could have started that breakdown that you smell, that you nobody, whatever it is. But the fact that she had a loving,
pour the milk down the drain.
She had a loving father in her life was going to be a problem for him to be on his shenanigans, because the dad who really loves his daughter is going to be like, yo, what's happening here?
Yeah, and the thing is, I think his problem with the gift was that he didn't want to see her being treated well by somebody else, because he wasn't able to do it.
It was going up. You're right, because he was going to have to step his game up. This is a competition, and he shouldn't have been in competition with her father. But the thing is, if you're going to do what you're going to do, then it doesn't matter. If you're there for the right reasons, it doesn't matter what her dad is doing for her. Like, bro, get your self-esteem up. It's not a real man. They out of mad. Oh, I can't believe you got sent money again by your dad or your mom or what. That's stupid.
Right. Somebody said,
look at how well he's treating you. I can't believe it. It's your father.
Right. Somebody quoted what she said, where she said, he also confessed he cheated on me with 2 different girls, which took me by complete surprise. The guy who sees sexual intent in totally innocuous gestures just because the people involved happen to be different sexes turned out to be cheating himself. I'm sorry you got blindsided with that, but I can't say I'm surprised.
Right.
Yeah, he was, somebody says, yeah, he was obviously, someone else says, yeah, he was obviously projecting. And he doesn't seem to see women as anything other than potential sex partners.
That is the word.
Another commenter said, he wouldn't find the father-daughter interaction weird unless his worldview is that any male or female interaction is inherently sexual or horny in some way, which means he cannot interact with women as people.
That hurts.
Gross.
Yeah, it does. Folks, do me a favor. And do your research. Now, you fast forward this situation. She doesn't leave this situation. She says, hey, Dad, stop sending me flowers. He starts undervaluing her. They move in together. They're 2 years in. She's drinking milk.
Byron.
He loses his mind. He dumps it out. It's, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. Goes get her some more milk, but she's in there now. She didn't sign the lease. Don't move in until you have a good idea who you're dealing with, and pray about it. A lot of
people will say, I'm gonna move in so that I get a good idea. That's the argument.
That's their logic, and well, good luck. But that being said, thanks for stopping by as we talk on this couch. Listen to us talk through these stories. I do hope that you make smart decisions. These relationship advice stories sometimes are crazy. Some of them are unavoidable. I don't want to be callous and say, as somebody who's been through a little bit in life.
We've both been through. That's why you can feel like you can speak as an authority on it. We've both been hurt and used and burned in that way. By friends, family, exes.
Yeah.
It's all of the above.
Indeed.
So.
And I don't want to sound callous when I say stuff. But you have to do the best that you possibly can. There are some people who are some fantastic actors, and you will be on some, who did I get connected to? Where did this come from? I didn't see it. You can be blindsided. So I'm never going to victim blame.
Right.
I am going to say, to watch, be careful, pray. before you cross that barrier.
A lot of the time, not to victim blame, because we've been through it, but when I look back at my own self in those situations, it was something in me that I needed to address that allowed myself to be taken advantage of in that way. Does that make sense? I know that's probably going to be triggering for people, but there is a common denominator when that kind of stuff keeps happening to you. And sometimes it's a healing that you need to do in yourself. Not to say that it would never happen again. It might happen in a different way, at a different, it wouldn't be hit you as hard, maybe, but
there's such thing as trauma bonding.
Yes.
Where you have a void that you're trying to fill, and sometimes you connect with somebody because they have that same void inside of them, and they may be a absolutely terrible person on how they handle it, or they may just see that in you and then come to take advantage of it by putting on a show for a little while. And
the thing is, once you get hurt and you learn from it, you may attract that kind of thing again, but then you'll be like,
I need to handle this differently.
I've seen this before.
Yeah,
I'll bow out now, thank you.
But again, I reiterate to pray and try to find a healthy level for your discernment, because everything is not a red flag. Sometimes we're running from good people because we haven't healed ourselves, and you see the slightest. People are not flawless. People are gonna make mistakes. We see the slightest sign of any little small thing, and it's just like, I'm out. We're just ready to quit, married or not, kid or not, together 18 years, and just be like, I'm out. Stop. Think, walk this through. What is the character of this individual actually like? Nobody is flawless. I'm not saying sit there and tolerate a whole lot of foolishness, getting hit upside the head, being constantly degraded. Not. Please do not.
Verbally abused,
mentally abused, cheated on, emotional abuse, even if it's not physical cheating, just being like, like I'm not getting just no. I'm not saying stick around for none of that. What I am saying is, don't get in relationship with that, especially not at the permanent level. Like I've had a child with them, or I'm married to that now, and I'm kind of quote unquote stuck. Try your best. You're not gonna have all the answers, but then on the other side, have grace for people who make mistakes.
Right. Cheating
twice is not. That's two decisions. That's two decisions. Maybe if this guy doesn't have any other issues with milk, maybe he's not. It seems scary. Something's a little dark. They're talking about that'll teach you.
Very dark. I'm gonna teach you a lesson and then be like, oh man, I'm sorry about that.
Because that's one of them, that you go into work and putting makeup on your face, talking about the cabinet hit me. Like very serious, that spirals, and that'll teach you. I don't like that part at all. So hopefully, hopefully that's the beginning and the end of that. If you do stay, and there's nothing more than just a milk incident, but he can't surprise you with anger issues. That's not something you want to be attached to long term. They need to have that fixed, like on some real fixed. Because temperament is real, and that stuff pop out in your kids, but that's another conversation. Please,
definitely comment, guys. We know that people talk to me about it in person, but I love to see your comments so we can start a conversation, because there's only so much you and I can go back and forth, but you can start a community of people talking.
Dialogue and share. We need to share after you have subscribed yourself. Thank you once again. I want you to have a good evening.
Good night.